Coach Teresa Ford here, and this is the Guiding You Home podcast. This is a thought-provoking and often humorous approach to moving you closer to the only one who can genuinely help you live a life of abundance and prosperity. Sound good? Yeah, it's you that needs to go within so you can sit in the driver's seat of your life, co-creating with God. So make room for more light and knowledge. As you continue to listen, you will discover elements of how to lead with your inner light, how to act on your specific promptings, and how to follow your spiritual intuition so you can fulfill the measure of your creation. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Welcome. Here we are, another podcast episode because inspiration showed up, and it's my favorite thing to think that you are on the other end of this, that you're receiving this information. It came to your curiosity or your impulse to look and listen. That's no coincidence. There's no such thing as a coincidence, right? Because everything coincides. So we're doing, seems like all the C words are coming up, but we're doing an episode today on the difference between confidence and courage. Confidence, I feel like, has 30 moving parts to it. Could probably do 30 separate episodes about confidence. But confidence, it comes from doing. It's just an evidence of our experience. So at one point in our lives, we didn't know how to tie shoes. It was a little uncertain. We were a little tentative as we were practicing, making a bunny ear, chasing the rabbit around the hole and pop him in the hole. Like we were trying to figure out how to become competent, which then builds confidence. I like to talk about confidence in that our life is just a roller coaster of competence to incompetence. We were incompetent as a little baby blob showing up in the world. No muscles, couldn't sit up, couldn't roll over, couldn't do anything for ourselves. Had to have our heads supported. We were incompetent as a human. But it didn't take long. Like if you think about the whole of our life, the first couple of years that it took us to get competent in rolling over and crawling and standing up and then walking, it didn't take that long to become competent as a human on two legs we could feed ourselves, we could, begin to dress ourselves. We were always exploring how to be a better version of ourselves, and that's what confidence is. It's just evidence that we tried and tried and tried again until we reached a place where we feel pretty good about ourselves. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at this, too. If you had a family that was just a witness to your greatness, there was a lot of confidence because you had emotional security. Now, this is going to be interesting how this all shakes out in this episode because I have no notes in front of me, and this was just the topic that came to mind. So we're gonna probably dive deep here as usual because my goal is to bring you back home to yourself, guiding you home. So when you are surrounded by a cheerleading squad, you've got your helpers, your healers, your protectors, your leaders all around you in human form, because we have those in angel form, but in human form, that's pretty important because as a little baby, we have eyes to see through our mortal body, and we're looking at these adults who are smiling back at us, and so we smile at them, and everybody cheers. It's exciting. And if that was consistent, the unconditional love that you may have gotten into the garbage when you weren't supposed to as a little kid, or you may have dropped a dish on the floor and broken it when you were a little kid. You did things that your parents were like, uh-oh, but they didn't remove their love from you. You had a good, healthy dose of self-worth and a pretty good self-image. And that also equates to confidence. Who am I and what do I want? And knowing what you want is just fine. Knowing that who you are is perfect just the way you are. You're not supposed to be further ahead, and if you're a little bit behind, it doesn't make any difference because you're still perfect right where you're at. These are things that build a child's confidence. Now let's go to the other extreme. If you did not have a set of parents to help cheer you on, to celebrate your wins, to show up and be present emotionally, you were just left to wonder, I don't know, how about now? Am I doing it right? Why did they get so mad at me when I, slipped and fell down and I didn't know? It's not you. That wasn't you. But as a little child, you're like, oh, it must be me because my parents are reacting in a way that makes me feel a certain way. It makes me feel sad, unhappy, bewildered, overwhelmed. Like something else is happening when we feel less for having tried and tried and tried again. Now, as adults, some of those are still wounds. Some of us still have a little inner child that's crying. Some of us are still not sure of ourselves, doubting ourselves, second-guessing ourselves. And these are the people that I really want to talk to today. The ones that are wanting confidence. And I know you have confidence in a lot of different areas of your life, but there are areas of your life that you don't have confidence. Maybe it's keeping a relationship or choosing a healthy relationship. Maybe it's putting your work out into the world or finding a work that you really love doing, because that's when your love is expressed the most, is through the work you do. And the work you do might be in the walls of your own home, and it might be outside of your home. It might be in your community. It might be in charitable work, wherever it is. If you love it, it's because that is your work to do, and you're expressing yourself fully in that work. If we lack confidence because we're working at something that is safe, but we're not working in something that we know would be really great for us, would be exciting if it was no work at all, we could just transition quickly to do this work, we would do it in a heartbeat because it excites us. But if there is any doubt in there anywhere, our confidence is shaken. And so confidence is a culmination of experiences where we have become competent. And anytime you try something new, there's some incompetence required. Like you'll experience it. It will be present. You'll feel incompetent, and it feels not safe because we don't want to look stupid. We don't want to fail. We don't want to let other people down. All this, I don't want. When that is happening, it can be a struggle because now you're battling you. That's the biggest battle to overcome. You are the mountain. You're trying to conquer the mountain. And so if you need to shift in your life, but you don't feel confident, you are going to need some courage. Now let's think about that word courage. We have encourage. That's to give courage. But we can't always live on borrowed courage. We can have people that cheer for us, encourage us, even have confidence in us. We know you can do it. But if you don't have the courage, you're not going anywhere. It's going to be the same struggle. You're going to battle yourself, argue for your limitations. It's going to be a struggle. That's not a satisfying life. It's not what you're here to do. You're not here to do that. But you are here to muster up that courage and get out of your own way. Leave the excuses behind. Forget about what you don't know how to do. Because remember, going back to that baby experience, you didn't know how to tie your shoe. Did you flop on the floor and say, I'm going to go barefoot forever? No, you did not. You're like, Mom tied my shoe. Apparently it's possible. Let me try. See if I can get my fingers coordinated enough to do it myself. There was an effort, failure, the knot didn't hold. It was a struggle. But it wasn't one that ever entered your mind not to try. As adults, we get a little too smart for our own good, and we think of all the reasons why we shouldn't try. Now, I've actually had this experience more recently than not. And that experience is that I had a story going on. And this might be information for another episode, because I'm kind of getting a dead end on it. But let me just tell you this, that I identified that I had other stories of going on, of not being supported, so this was going to be hard, or who will I be if I don't have the struggle? Like the giving up the struggle, that took a lot of courage for me, giving up the struggle, because I've always had to struggle. My entire life has been a struggle. My marriages have been a struggle. And I was like, what if I didn't have to struggle? What would my life be like without the struggle? And it took a lot of courage to imagine my life without the struggle. Can I live a life that I love without the struggle? Because struggle was just normal. Having immature parents, my mother was the equivalency of a 3-year-old. My dad was somewhere around 12, never really fully grown, just annoying to my mother, who was 3 and needed to be loved. Like this, all I had to witness to was struggle, except for my friends' parents, who were amazingly helpful in helping me understand that not everybody struggled like my parents did. But I accepted that struggle for myself. And it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine to embrace. But I didn't realize that I was struggling, because I thought I was going after my dreams. Like, I opened up a fitness studio and I started with no clients. That can be a struggle. It's like, oh, I've signed a rent contract. I have agreed to pay rent for this brick and mortar. I have purchased equipment and furnishings. We've had the place painted, carpeted, and decaled. And I was like, oh, now I'm on the hook. Now, like, I had courage to get going and do this project, but now it's push time, like go time. I've got to figure out a way to let people know I'm open for business and that I'm a good fit for them. That was a struggle, because I was prepared to put the energy and the work in, but I was not prepared to delegate that work. I did not imagine all the hats that I would have to wear in order to make that business go, and that I couldn't clone myself, duplicate myself, and I couldn't find, or I should say, I didn't have the resources to pay the big bucks to get the good people in the door that would help me build my business. I mean, I'm talking about the marketers and the people that would be a good representative of my company, to go out in the community and represent, going to all the meetings and the networking events and, that sort of thing, and to put together events that we could host together. Like, I couldn't find those people. I didn't have those resources. So it was a struggle. And even though I was doing something I absolutely loved, every minute with my trainers and my clients, I loved it. I loved all of it. It's just that I was struggling and didn't know it. Does that make sense? So courage is an interesting animal, because it can launch you. You can let go of this idea, this story that you've been telling yourself, this backstory of life is a struggle, and you're going to have to fight to be loved, and fight to be valued, and fight to be heard, and fight to be seen, and fight to feel significant, and fight to be accepted. You're going to have to work hard at all these things, sending energy towards all of them just to survive. And when I had to have the courage to give up that struggle, let's just say it was hard to pry my fingers apart. It was hard to give myself the gift that I was asking for. It's like, can we just make this easy? Can we just have fun? Can we just live? be creative, do all the fun things we're here to do it because we're built to do it, because we're born to do it, because it's our purpose, it's our mission, it's our life path. Can we just like do that? And the resistance that I got, I was like, what is that? Where's that coming from? Well, it was coming from old wounds, unhealed wounds. That inner child that was hanging on for dear life to keep things the same as they always have been and what was familiar, which was the struggle. Oh, but the courage, because courage is what it takes to become confident. Courage is, I'm going to go and do this anyway because it's in me to do. Courage to give up the old story and start a new one. Life is easy for me. I am built to see the potential that is in people, to help them rise to the occasion, to meet their potential at where they need to be, where they were built to be. Yeah, to climb the mountain, get to the peak and see the view from a new vantage point. I'm built to do that. But my old story of stay in the struggle was not meant for me. It wasn't meant for me. It may have been taught to me, may have been shown to me, but it wasn't meant for me. Just like your story of struggle is not meant for you. And it takes courage to let it go. Say thank you. Next. Sit with that for a second. See if, do a little homework. See if you can identify what the story is that's held you back. Where does the fear lie? Because wherever that fear is, it's just a perception of what happened when you were too immature to handle that situation. That's all. And so we have to rewrite it in our heads, change it around in our minds. What's the real story? If you know who you are here, what is the real story that can be told in place of the old story? Because this is what will bring more confidence into your life, and it's what will support the courage that it takes to do the thing you're here to do. Maybe that's love more. Maybe that's to develop this platform of unconditional love inside of yourself. I'm going to do another episode on this, because unconditional love is an amazing stepping stone to progressing and learning more about who you are. But it takes courage to get there, to let go of what's wrong. Let go of what you think is going on that's a problem. And when you can let go of those things and step into the story of the true you, well, the confidence comes back. The confidence is there, whether you had a support system as a child or not. Confidence shows up because you had the courage to let the old stuff go. The old stuff is just holding you back. It's just mud up to your hips. We need to dig out of the mud, and we need to step into the life that was meant for us to live, that's full of peace and ease and love and validation, not from other people, but because you're doing what you were supposed to do, that you're in your lane and you're rocking it. That's the most important thing. That's what brings you home to you, is that you use courage and confidence to your advantage. Now, confidence also implies that you've had experience. And anytime you try something new, you have no experience. There's no handbook, no playbook, you're just troubleshooting all the problems and trying to stay out of your own way the whole time. So it can make you feel incompetent. It can make you feel like you're a failure, or that you're embarrassed, or that you feel ashamed that you tried something and you had high hopes for it and then it didn't turn out. But you just have to also remember that confidence is built on learning about what doesn't work in a relationship or in these shadow types when you're trying to become your best self and transcend it into a gift. That's a deep concept, and it takes practice. It takes this resiliency and tenacity, not to see how much crap you can take, but literally to learn from the lessons quickly so you can move on. That brings confidence, And all of it takes courage. Courage is the state of being that you're in when you're trying something new and you feel incompetent. But as you try and as you effort and as you discover what does and doesn't work, you gain confidence. Now you can speak confidently. You don't need the backstory from somebody. You can actually tell them what the struggle is, and they're like, have you been listening in my house to how do you know this? It's like, well, ask me how I know, because it's true. It's true. When you have those experience behind you, you feel very confident in what you're doing, but it will never end. I'm just saying that your expansion requires more. More expansion, more expansion, more expansion. You learn to tie your shoes when you're a kid, and then you learn how to get dressed, and then you learned your math, and then you learned your spelling, and you learned all these things that opened your eyes to who you are, where your gifts lie, what your talents are, where your values are, what your core needs are, what your commitments are. Like, you've just been discovering this whole time about who you are and what you want, and all of it from the beginning till now has taken confidence and courage. That as soon as you became confident at something, life handed you a new opportunity to become incompetent, and which meant that you had to pull courage out of your back pocket again and put it to use, do the work, and show yourself what doesn't work so you can get down to what does work, and then you find your flow and it becomes easier, and you drop your old stories, and courage just serves you so well to become competent again. And you have all the confidence that came from doing the work. But it always starts with the need for courage. Step forward, step into who you are, become the person you were meant to be, get on the path, don't ever get off. Well, I always say you're on the path and you can't get off, but you can sure spend a lot of time standing in the mud on your path instead of getting out of the mud bog on the other side quickly. So when I say get on the path, I mean get on down the path. Keep going down the path. Don't get stuck in the mud bog and stay there for a while. I mean, I'm not saying you can't. You can. You can do anything you want. But sitting in the mud, wallowing in the mud, crying because you're in the mud is not actually doing the work. So you got to climb out of the mud pit and head on down the path, and the mud dries, it falls off of you. You'll hardly remember that even happened to you. And you are on your way with your courage, on your way to confidence again. Just always. I know some people that are just so magical. So, gosh, I mean, you just aspire to be like them because they seem to have it all going on. But they can tell you stories of when they felt incompetent and they lacked confidence, and it took a lot of courage to step forward, because life is like that. Nobody's life is perfect. We will all have opportunities to get out of the struggle, to experience the struggle and get out of the struggle, to believe something, have it questioned, and then go back to finding the truth for you. The truth that, truth means nothing missing. So finding the truth, apart from what we think happened, apart from the people that we've talked to or what they think of us, or all the factors that we factor into every ounce of our thinking. And we stop being, involved in everybody else's thoughts about us, or opinions, or agreement, or disagreement. And instead we get into the path that feels good, because our intuition is leading us forward, because we're working through the problems, because we're uncovering the stories, because we're going into a place where we've never gone before, and it feels a little bit scary and it feels a little bit uncertain, but that's okay, because with courage on your side, confidence comes, competence comes, and next thing you know, you're faced with another opportunity to grow and contribute and to expand. And the cycle starts over. So take confidence with you. Take all the experience that you've ever had that has built up that confidence and add it to courage. And then take that courage and move forward into the unknown. Do the things that inspire you, that motivate you, that help you find that creative genius inside, that help you express yourself fully and put your love out into the world. It's going to require confidence and courage. And I hope that it serves you so well. Thanks for listening, and I can't wait till we meet again. Thanks for listening. I invite you to leave your feedback and share your aha moments as you listen to this podcast. Also, you can access more information or any of the programs, courses, or worksheets that I've mentioned on these episodes on my website at teresaford.life. Or what I would really love is for you to connect with me on Instagram at teresaford.coaching and on Facebook at Coaching with Teresa Ford, so I can give you more interesting insights and further coaching to help you fulfill the measure of your creation.